Okay, so you want to own a fast food franchise. You've seen the numbers thrown around online. A Chick-fil-A operator supposedly clearing $500,000 a year. A McDonald's franchisee driving a nicer car than the regional manager. You picture buying into a proven system, a logo people already trust, a menu that's already been perfected by a team of food scientists somewhere in a corporate test kitchen. All you have to do is show up, hire some teenagers, and watch the drive-through line wrap around the building. Here's the catch. The franchise fee you saw advertised, the $45,000 or $10,000 headline number, is almost never what you actually pay to open the doors. Before you sell a single burger, you need a war chest. McDonald's franchise requires a minimum of $500,000 in non-borrowed personal funds just to be considered, and total investment for a single location runs from $1.3 million to over $2.3 million once you include real estate, equipment, signage, and initial inventory. A Subway can start below $200,000. A Chick-fil-A famously only requires $10,000 down, but that number is deceptive. Chick-fil-A owns the real estate and the equipment outright, which means the company selects who gets to run each store, and it keeps the majority of profit split in its own favor. Cheap entry, less control. The trade-off shows up everywhere in this industry. Then come the royalties. Every month, regardless of whether you made money, you pay the franchisor a cut of gross sales, typically 4 to 6%, plus another 4% into a national advertising fund. That's before rent, before payroll, before a single ingredient is purchased. And unlike an independent restaurant, you don't get to change the menu, the pricing, the hours, or the supplier. The franchise agreement decides all of it, sometimes down to the brand of napkin dispenser on the counter. Here's where most new owners make their first mistake. They assume high revenue means high profit. A single fast food location can generate $1.05 to $3 million a year in sales, numbers that sound enormous. But food cost alone eats 28 to 32% of every dollar. Labor, especially after minimum wage increases in states like California, consumes another 25 to 30%. Rent and equipment financing take another chunk. By the time royalties, insurance, and utilities are subtracted, the average franchisee nets somewhere between 6 and 9% of total revenue. On $2 million in sales, that's $120,000 to $180,000, a real living, but nowhere near the fantasy, and that number has to cover the owner's own salary and any return on the millions they put in, and that assumes a good year. Fast food margins are brutally sensitive to two things owners can't control: labor costs and commodity prices. When beef, chicken, or cooking oil spikes, franchisees can't simply raise prices. The franchisor sets pricing guidelines, and customers in this category are famously price-sensitive. A 10-cent rise in the cost of a chicken breast, multiplied across tens of thousands of sandwiches a year, can wipe out a quarter of annual profit. The real profit engine isn't the food you'd expect. Drinks and combo upsells carry margins above 80%, while the burger or sandwich itself often clears only 20 to 25%. This is why every counter worker is trained to ask if you want to make it a meal. That extra $2 for fries and a soda is where the real money lives. Multi-unit ownership changes the math entirely. A franchisee running one location is exposed to every local risk: a bad month, a broken fryer, a competitor opening across the street. Franchisors know this, which is why many now require new owners to commit to opening 3, 5, or even 10 locations over several years. Scale spreads the risk and unlocks purchasing leverage on food costs, but it also multiplies the capital required and the debt on the books. Then there's the franchisor relationship itself, which can turn adversarial. Some brands have faced lawsuits from franchisees claiming forced equipment upgrades, mandatory remodels costing hundreds of thousands of dollars, or new menu items pushed onto owners with no say in the matter. A remodel a franchisor deems necessary can cost $300,000 to $500,000, money the corporation doesn't spend a cent of, but requires under threat of losing the franchise agreement entirely. Burger King's own franchisee network has seen store closures accelerate in recent years as agging locations, rising labor costs, and stagnant same-store sales collided at once, proof that even a globally recognized brand doesn't guarantee individual location profitability. So here's the real year. In an optimistic scenario, your location does $2.2 million in revenue, holds food and labor costs near industry averages, and nets around $180,000 before your own compensation. In the realistic scenario, a minimum wage hike raises labor costs 2 points, a beef price spike hits margins, and a mandated remodel forces a $50,000 loan payment into next year's budget. That same store can net closer to $60,000, same customers, same hours worked, dramatically less to show for it. What you're really buying into isn't a restaurant. It's a long-term contract where the brand controls your pricing, your suppliers, and your upgrades, while you carry all the local risk. The owners who do well are rarely the ones who picked the flashiest logo. They're the ones who understood they were signing up to run someone else's system, not their own business.